Hello and welcome to the Basic to Bold podcast. I am your host, Jen Bjornson. So today I wanted to talk about being unstuck, or if you're feeling stuck, how do you get unstuck? And it's kind of been interesting because just in the last week, I have given this concept and talked to like 4 people just in my life who have completely been stuck, and I've been there and I totally get it. It's so frustrating. It's so irritating. And you just kind of want to pull your hair out because when you're stuck and you're not getting any answers and you're not getting any direction, it can feel so debilitating, especially if you struggle with anxiety or depression. Now you kind of spiral into this helpless, hopeless, things are never going to change. This is always how it's going to be. So I want to not just give you, this is an exercise to not just get you unstuck, but kind of get you heading in the right direction of like how to start getting unstuck, right? Like rather than just kind of bouncing around and like, I don't know about you, but for me, when I get stuck, I kind of like go from person to person, podcast to podcast, book to book, going, is this going to help me? Is this going to help me? What's going to help me? And it can be very, very, very frustrating. So before we get started, if you find this episode helpful at all, please share it. Please get the word out. Maybe send it to a friend who you know is struggling. All right, so let's dive in. All right. The concept is your 6 needs. Okay, so to begin this whole thing, bear with me, like this might get a little bit vocabulary and like definition-y and kind of like, wah, 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 right? Like, just bear with me here. Okay, I learned this concept from Tony Robbins. I know he did not make it up. I know this has been floating around with many, many people, but I'm going to give him credit because that's who I heard it from. But I created this exercise that helped me when I got stuck with understanding your 6 needs. So to begin with, we all have 6 human needs after water, shelter, air, like that kind of thing. After that, we have 6 basic human needs. And I'll go over them with you very quickly, but they're variety, consistency, love and connection, significance, growth, and contribution. Now, in this episode, am going to focus solely on the first 4, which is variety, consistency, love and connection, and significance. And the reason why is because these 4, if you don't have these in place, if these are not functioning and you are not getting these 4 needs, the other 2, not that they don't matter, they definitely matter for an amazing life, but they can kind of, there's no point in focusing on those 2. Now, the first one, variety. I'm going to define all these for you just in case anybody doesn't really have an idea of what I'm talking about. We love variety. This is why we do new things. This is why we try new things. This is why people start businesses, because we love variety. Okay. If you look in your life, I'm sure you can find different things. You want to try a new movie. You want to try a new restaurant. You want to try new experiences because you're like, that looks fun. That looks interesting. This is a need that we have, right? We can't just do the same thing over and over and over again. It gets so boring. Now, the interesting thing is for some people, you're going to need way more variety than other people, and that's okay. Now, the next one, consistency. Consistency is literally the opposite. This is routines. This is like doing the same thing over and over again so that we don't feel that chaos in our life. We don't feel that there's just everything's changing all the time. And this is, one of the reasons why we go back, like, why do we watch the same movie over and over again, right? Like, we just have those fan favorites that we're just like, oh, I love this movie. Let's watch it. Even though you watched it every year, at Christmas time, we all go back to the same movies. It's because we like consistency. The next one, love and connection. I think you pretty much get this. We need love. We need connection. We need to feel like other people want us around. We need to have that connection with other people. This is not just intimacy. This is not just a romantic partner. This is family. This is friends. You can get this in many, many different ways. All right. And the last one just for this episode is significance. Now, significance is, I think a lot of people define significance kind of in a different way. I think some people define it as respect. Other people, they easily kind of mix it with love and connection, where they feel important to somebody. But this is very much like, you have a reason for being here. You are the only one who can do something you are the only one who can do this thing. And you're important. You matter. That's significance. Other people put respect on it, but it's really importance that you matter in this life or in whatever it is that you're dealing with. All right, so these top 4 needs, they are super important because we'll literally die. We get this helpless, hopeless, what's the point in life if we don't have this? Now, what I want you to do is I want you to take a piece of paper. So if you're stuck, I have this exercise that maybe it won't give you the exact answer, but it does help you get unstuck, and it gets you in the general area of what the problem is. Okay? So grab a piece of paper, grab an old receipt from your purse or wallet, whatever. It doesn't matter. Just grab something. And I want you to kind of make like 4 sections with the title. One title is variety. One title is consistency. One title is love and connection. One title is significance. And to where you can make a list. Okay? You can list underneath these. All right. So the first one, I want you to put, how are you getting variety? Right? Maybe you're great at variety. Maybe that's super easy. And you're doing all these new things. You're like, I hang out with friends. We try all these new experiences together. I'm really into trying all these new hobbies. Like, what are you doing to get a change in life? Now, it's okay if you can't think of anything. Don't put what you could be doing. I want you to put what you are doing right now in life. If you looked at your week, if you looked at your month, if you looked at your routine or your schedule, what are you doing that gives you variety right now? And if it's nothing, if it's the exact same every day, okay, then don't put anything, right? That's okay. Then move on to consistency. Okay, again, what are you doing that brings you kind of that like relaxation? Like, this is something I do every day. I meditate every day, or I have a routine. I go to church every Sunday. I know that this is going to happen every week, every day. And again, if you're not great at consistency and you're like, no, I kind of wake up and I just do whatever I want to do. Okay, then don't really put anything in there. But I want you to be super honest with these. Then go to love and connection. Where do you have love and connection in your life? Maybe you have great friends. Maybe you have a significant other. Maybe you have a pet, right? You get love and connection from that pet. So I want you to put, again, not that you have to name every single person, but just, if you've got a good friend group and it's a strong friend group, even if it's 1 or 2 people and that's it, that's love and connection. And then move on to significance. Where do you feel significant? Maybe you have a job that really relies on you, and maybe you have, you help at like a soup kitchen, or you help volunteer in some way, and people really rely on you, and that gives you a lot of significance. So I want you to, again, if you really don't have this, don't put anything, not what you could be doing, but if you actually are doing it right now. Okay, so now I want you to look at this, look at your sheet. I want you to look at it, and I want you to see what areas you're stronger in, things that come easy to you, and notice the areas that you're really lacking in. Now, here's the thing that's kind of interesting. People usually have a stronger area and people have kind of a weaker area. But when their life gets lacking, it's so easy to go to the areas that are comfortable and that come naturally. And so they'll gravitate towards that to try to fix the other areas in their life. So for instance, I'm going to use this one because it's pretty easy. People who are really good at making money, people who are really good at business, and they find a lot of significance in making money, tend to make a lot of money to make up for love and connection. Because that's easy. Because it can feel similar. Because having significance and constantly being praised for an amazing job that you're doing at your job or, in your business, it's very easy to replace that for love and connection. They're not the same thing. Same with people think getting a lot of money gives them significance, but it's just money. And so they keep going after it and they keep going after it and they keep going after it. Another example is a lot of people who have had a lot of chaos in their life, a lot of stress in their life, really struggle with variety because anytime they do something different, it is chaos, right? Like if you're going to try something new, it doesn't, not that it doesn't usually work out, but it's a new thing. It's a new situation. It's a new scenario. So I know for me, anytime I do anything different, usually my kitchen gets thrown out of whack. I have a pretty good routine, but things get out of whack. I try a new recipe and it's a whole lot more dishes than I knew, because now you gotta separate the eggs, or you gotta, do this in one bowl and you gotta do this in another bowl. And so it's a lot more chaotic rather than the same old dish that I've been making for years and years and years, because I know exactly how to make it. I know how long it's going to take. I know where the ingredients are at. I know that it's going to, I'm going to use this many tools and I'm going to use this and this and this. But the first time you make anything, you're kind of like putting one in this bowl and putting another in this bowl. And most things that you start create a certain level of chaos. Okay? Maybe it's not unmanageable chaos, but if it's a bigger thing, it's usually more chaos. And if you had a very chaotic life, that can bring up a lot of stressors. That can bring up a lot of right? And so we tend to do more consistency if you've had a lot of chaos, because that's what makes you feel comfortable. It doesn't remind you of that chaos. And so you just really gravitate towards consistency and what makes you feel comfortable. But the point is if you look into all these areas, you look into these 4 boxes or these 4 lists, or however you have laid it out on your paper or whiteboard or whatever, you're going to notice that you're probably lacking in 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 areas, and you're probably really strong in another area. And I'll bet you've been trying to make up for those other areas by really hitting it hard in what comes easy, whether it's variety. You go and you do a bunch of stuff and you're doing all this thing, but now there's a bunch of chaos in your life and you can't figure out why your money's all over the place, and you can't figure out why there's so much chaos in your life, and you don't really have great relationships because you're just moving all over the place. Same with consistency. You're super bored with life, but anytime you try anything new, it causes this uproar in your emotional state, or even in your life. Maybe you have too much love. Not that you have too much love and connection, but that's all you're doing is you're just focusing so much on this one thing. Same with significance, just going after significance, and now your relationships are struggling. Or there's not a whole lot, you're just working all the time. And so, you're not really doing anything fun and exciting and can't really figure out why life's not really fulfilled. So you look at all these areas, right? And you really see it for what it is. And this is why it's important. Don't put down stuff that you could be doing. Don't put down stuff that you did. Oh, well, last year I did this thing. No. Right now, be very honest. I've talked about a lot on this podcast about being very, very honest with yourself, because this is very important to know exactly where you're at. Don't make it better than what it is. Don't make it worse than what it is. Look at it exactly the way it is. All right, so now that you've done this and you've really looked at it, I want you to do this a second time, right? I want you to put variety, consistency, love, and connection, whether in list form, in boxes, whether you're doing this on your phone, whether you're doing this on the whiteboard or on a piece of paper, it doesn't matter. But put these lists again, or put these categories again. Now, I want you to write I want you to put, first of all, what are you strong at, right? Like circle the one, or like make a mental note, start, or whatever, what you're super strong at. But then I want you to also look at what's super important to you. What's probably the most important one to you. It's what I find in a lot of people is they not only tend to go not only do they tend to go to the one that's super easy, but the one that's really, really important, sometimes, not always, but sometimes we tend to kind of avoid that one because there's either, there's kind of that apprehension because it's so important to us. Okay, so I really want you to start looking what's super important to you. And that's the one I would probably say, if you're lacking in it, if you're lacking in the one that's really, really important to you, then I would focus on that one. If the one that's super important to you and you're way strong in it, then I would start building out the other areas. Not that you can't keep going after the one that you are great at, but I would really start focusing on some of those other areas. Okay, so here's what I want you to do now. I want you to put in the areas that need some work, what could you do in those areas to get variety, to get consistency, to get love and connection, to get significance. Now, in a lot of these, it's going to be uncomfortable. And the reason it's uncomfortable is because this is a skill that you have not built. That is why it's so easy to go for the one that you're super good at, right? If you're great at making money and you can just do sales and you can just build business and you can, do all the things in business, it's not hard to you've built that skill set. You've built the relationships. You built the platform or the foundation to go to another business or to build another business or to create another account or whatever it is that you do. You have that skill set. Let's say you have amazing friends and you've got a lot of friends and you've built this great connection. You have those skill sets to meet new people or to trust people. Okay, that's not a hard thing for you. Maybe you're really great at variety and you just have no problem traveling and you have no problem moving around in life and trying new things, right? You've gained that skill set and those pathways in your brain. It's not hard. So go to the one that's really important, but you're not getting. So one thing that's super easy, or not easy, but one as an example is, let's say you're really lacking in love and connection. And let's say you kind of dig deep and you're like, I don't really trust people. Okay, you haven't built that skill set to just randomly go up, talk to people and build a connection with them. Maybe you don't have a problem talking to people. Maybe you don't have a problem just, you can talk to people all day long. You can how are you? What do you do? The small talk, maybe that's not hard for you, but building an actual relationship to where you actually connect with a person, you actually become friends with them, that's where you struggle. Maybe you don't have a problem with variety and getting all this kind of stuff, but maybe you have a problem with putting a budget together and having consistency. And if you could bring all of those areas into your life and start building all those areas out, now this is where life gets flowing forward in a good way, rather than this like chaotic, stressful, or like, things are getting like, what's wrong? This isn't working. Okay, well, I'm just going to go make more money because this isn't working. Or my relationship's falling apart. That's all right. I'm going to stick to this routine. My life feels chaotic, but hey, I'm just going to go spend money, or I'm just going to, like, it'll all work out, right? Like, in all these areas of our lives, they're so important, but we easily have one or two areas that we're really good at. So with that, I want you to start looking and start noticing where you're good at. And that's awesome. You should really praise yourself, because that is a skill that you have. If you're great at making money, if you're good at business, good for you. That's amazing. At the same time, if you need to have a little more consistency in your life, and you need to budget more, and you need to kind of have a little bit better routine, then that's where you need to work on. And I bring it, the other thing that I want to mention, and I've talked about this in, there's another podcast literally about this whole, like, just shifting 1 degree. I really want to mention that don't try to fix all areas all at once. Don't try to gain all the skills all at once, right? Like, let's say you're really, really good at consistency and your life is structured and you never deviate from it. Just pick one area. Don't try to go make a ton of friends and go on a whitewater rafting trip and find your purpose and passion and significance in life. Like, that is a lot. So pick one area. If you're really good at consistency and you try variety, try, like, you're going to try something new every week. That's your goal. You just try something new. Maybe you really need relationships. You're going to do something uncomfortable to meet people and to try and find your people. And I'll be really honest. Here's the thing. It's going, like, if you think you're just going to jump in and you're going to be like, oh, okay, I'm going to go find friends. No, it's going to be uncomfortable. There's going to be things that don't work. And here's the secret. If you're like, I have trust issues, people have burned me in the past. First of all, welcome to the club. I think we all have that. And that's not to minimize pain. That's to say, yes, it happens to a lot of people. Do you know how you get past it? Is you start looking for people you can trust. And it's uncomfortable. And it's hard. Because you have to start trusting people. And you have to start looking for people who are going to be trustworthy. And you have to fixing your brain to recognize the signs that people aren't going to use you. It's a lot. If you want consistency and you're ADHD, I mean, off the charts ADHD, I get it. Do you know how you fix that? You start training your brain little bit by little bit. Whether you do meditation, whether you do hypnotherapy, whether you do journaling, EDMR, it doesn't matter. It's a skill. It's fixing your brain, and then it's a skill. And it takes time, like everything else does. I get that this is not fun at times, but this is the fun part if you can learn to love it. I used to hate, I can't even tell you, I used to hate the phrase, the joy is in the journey. Oh my gosh, when people are like, find joy in the journey. Oh, I hated that saying. Mainly because I'm like, well, the journey sucks. This sucks. There's nothing about this that's enjoyable. There's nothing about this that I want to do. Like, who's choosing this? Who's having a good time? Is anybody else having a good time? Because I was not having a good time. I was stuck all the time. I couldn't figure out what my problem was. I couldn't figure out how to fix it. I couldn't figure out how to move forward. Everything stayed the same all the time. And it was so frustrating. And then I found ways first to fix my head, to fix my thinking, to fix the way that I was seeing things. And then I started gaining skill sets. And that's all this is. Fix the way you're thinking and then start gaining skill sets to learn different things, to have better experiences. That's all this is. And it is fun. It is interesting. It's frustrating at times, but it's fun. And so now when people say joy in the journey, I have to laugh because at first I'm like, oh, man, I get it. If you hate that phrase, I so hated that phrase. But it really is. It really, really is. And if you can't find joy in the journey, you gotta fix what's going on up in your thinking. You have to, because that's what the problem is. It should not be that complicated. And if it is that complicated, you gotta fix your thinking. And I get it if you're like, I have anxiety. Yep. I did too. I have depression. Yep. I did too. The list of stuff that I was diagnosed with, mental, physical, I get it. It's so frustrating. And it's not minimizing it. And I get it. If you have something that you're struggling with, that you are trying to move past, I see you. You are doing great. This is not in any way, shape, or form to minimize the struggle. I'm just saying, you're going to get past it if you keep moving forward. You're going to get past it. You really are. And I say that with a surety because I've been there. I've been the person at the bottom of the hill looking up and everybody else going, you can do it. And I'm like, I don't know that I can. Like, thank you for the confidence. Thank you for the encouragement, but I don't think I can. And I'm the person that's gotten past that. And I'm saying you can. And you're going to, as long as you keep going, just as long as you keep putting one foot in front of the other. I don't care if your step is like the tiniest of tiniest little bit of step. I don't care. Keep moving forward. You're going to get to the top. You're going to get past this. You're going to find something that works. You have to. You have to. All right. I love you guys. I absolutely, again, please, I love sharing this information, but if you guys, if you think that this could help anybody, or you know of somebody it could help, or you have found value in this at all, please share it. And I'm on social media all over the place, Basic to Bold. So if you guys want to hit me up anywhere, let's chat. Love you guys.